We are back on once more on Friday night for none other than damage rolls. My name is Mr. Producer, and with me tonight we have the marvelous Chef Bolg
Marvelous today. Hooray!
and the man who needs no introduction, Loke the Bard.
But you introduced me anyway.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, we'd like to start off tonight with just a quick moment of silence and recognition for a man who's just passed just recently and has been sending waves through the internet. Akira Toriyama, one of the creator of Dragon Ball, has since passed, and
Not just Dragon Ball. Dr.
yes,
Slump. He's a character designer on Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger. Most recently, Sand World. The man has put so much into popular culture that we have to acknowledge it.
I don't know how much he has impacted you per se, Loke, but I know his creations had a large impact on both Bolg and myself. So it's just he will continue to live through eternity in his art. So I just hope he rests well. But moving forwards, we have a great show tonight for you guys. A lot to talk about. Just last week, Dune Part 2 released. A highly anticipated movie that I think it's fair to say it lived up to some of those expectations.
Well, it's the second half of one movie. It's not.
Mhm.
It's not a separate movie. So, if you
True.
like the first half, you probably will like the second half because it's on par. Quite like the visuals, the pacing. Pacing, I guess, is actually a little bit better because there's a little bit more action.
Well,
Um,
in terms of the pacing, like you just said, it's basically one movie that's come out two separate
Yeah.
dates. It was basically 4 hours of build up for an hour of action. Was the payoff worth it, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it was a very pretty. I'm looking forward to the day when I can sit with it on streaming and watch them back to back. My theater, or our theater here, because we're all in the same general area,
Mm-hmm.
nowhere was offering a back to back showing that I saw.
Mm.
Um, and I think to truly appreciate it, we're going to have to watch it in that kind of context.
One
It truly is a movie that should have had an intermission and done the second half instead of being two separate movies.
So that was another question I was thinking about was there's been a debate among Hollywood currently about the current standards for runtime. That around the hour and a half, and there's directors like I believe Scorsese who are pushing. There's like saying there's a demand for longer form content. Movies extending into the 4 or 5 hour zones. It would it have changed your opinion at all on going to see the movie if they're like, all right, we're putting out, five. I think it was the total runtime was a little over 5 hours for both
For the two of them
Yeah,
combined.
yeah, for the two of them combined. If they just dropped the entire 5 hours and like this is Dune, would that have changed how you would have watched it? Would it have? I'm just curious.
I would have definitely. I've watched the 4 hour direct. Well, it's not the director's cut because the director has disowned the 1984 version. The 4 hour recut version I have watched multiple times. So
Okay.
I would sit through a 5 hour one, no problem.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm one of the few people that actually like the 1984 one. Um, it's one of
It's
the things that
campy.
got it's campy and it
It's
a lot of
cheesy.
it a lot of it
It's
doesn't hold up to current modern day effects, but at the time that's about what you'd expect from a movie's effects.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they do some the extravagance of like the costuming and stuff to such a point
It
that
was incredible. Like
yeah. But so yeah, I would sit through a 5 hour version in the theater just to be able to see that.
Mhm.
When it comes down, the reason the whole debate is there is ticket pricing. The way it works in America currently, it's a flat price for movie tickets,
Mhm.
regardless of the length, and you can show more showings of an hour and a half movie, twice as many actually, than you can a 3 hour movie. Uh, so you have to have twice as many people show up to every showing to make the same amount of money.
That brings up an interesting point that I'm curious about too, actually, and it's because it was in the news recently about Wendy's was considering surge pricing for their burgers. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you would you pay more for a movie ticket based on a per minute quota?
That's actually almost a more topical thing. A Canadian theater, Cineplex, I think it was called.
Mm.
They did a where they're doing premium pricing. They charge more for Dune than the typical theater showings of everything else that was out at the same time, because they knew it was going to be a higher demand film, not based on runtime, but they did do a premium pricing, and it pissed a lot of people off.
Okay. Okay.
So it's one of those things. I don't think audiences would like it. It may not be a good business model to switch to, uh, but and because of that, we're always going to get this. You know, I put part one and part two in the theater at the same time, where I buy a ticket for one and then buy a ticket for the other. I would still probably do it that way, as long as you set it up so that you could watch them both like that.
I mean, they back when Lord of the Rings was coming out, when the Return of the King came out, I went to a. It wasn't a midnight showing. It was a midnight showing of Return of the King, but there was 6 hours where they put on Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers extended edition back to back, and it was only one ticket to watch all of them.
Wow.
Do you know where they made their money?
Concession.
Concessions.
Yeah.
And we go to a rather extravagant theater that has some rather extravagant concessions. Can you imagine that for Dune Part 1 and 2?
Yeah.
How much money they would make?
Oh yeah, I spent a lot of money on concessions just on part two. So, but yeah, and so especially with as because of the writer's strike and the low volume of good theatrical experiences out there right
Mhm.
now, I think they could have made a lot of money if they put them both together.
If they had done like a showing of like both of them.
Yeah, because I mean, what are you going to kick at
Last,
last?
that seems like such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, because what you're kicking out of there, Madam Web. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to miss Madam Web
We-
getting kicked out a week early?
We got morbed again.
So, but Dune is a special case because it is such a pop culture icon,
Mm-hmm.
and it has such a adherent fan base. But it is also, this is like the Diet Coke Dune. This is the no calories Dune.
Really? And can you elaborate a little?
Well, like they showed the Mentats and the Spacing Guild on screen a little bit in the first part. Never mention them again.
What were the Mentats?
The guy that his eyes kind of roll back and does
the
calculation.
Yeah.
The human computers.
That's also coming up in our next topic. But
yeah,
yeah, it is very style over substance.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I enjoyed it.
Like, but in the actual as long as you can separate this from the book, it's good it's a good movie the way it is.
Okay.
And it is a good business decision to remove some of the weirdness, and make it more palatable for general audiences.
What's some of the weirdness they took out of the second half?
Paul's sister, who is not born in the second half, is a 2-year-old in the book. Okay. There's a time jump from the end of part one to where well, it's a little bit after the end of part 1 where he goes back and is named Usul.
That was like his tribe name, right?
Yeah, yeah, where he gets that there's a time jump from there to when he like is raiding the Harkonnens and drinks the waters of life and all that, where it jumps 2 or 5 years, I can't remember off the top of my head, forward. So his sister's already been born.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Zendaya's character have had their own child, raiding the Harkonnens and drinks the waters of life. Leto the Second, where it jumps,
Okay.
and 5 years, I can't remember off the top of my head. There's important plot device parts that are just not there. For example, Paul is not the only one with visions. Paul is not the only one who can see the future. Pretty much all the Bene Gesserits can see the future also. The Spacing Guild can kind of see it as well. The Mentats can calculate what is probably going to happen. They don't see the future, but they do the math with enough data.
Okay.
And that's kind of what Paul's cheat is, that he is a Mentat who also has the Bene Gesserit powers.
How is he a Mentat? Is that
because he in the books he was trained from birth to be a Mentat.
Oh, he was okay.
Yeah. So a human computer. And so when he takes the waters of life and gets all the knowledge of the past, like who his
how did the poison do that? Is that
because magic.
magic? Okay.
Yeah, space magic. Even though
well,
this is supposed to be us,
it's explained as genetic it unlocks his genetic memory of all the events that his ancestors went through, or somewhere along that lines, but somehow that gives them the power to remember people they weren't related. Like Jessica gets the memories of the crone that dies there in the but it's sci-fi, it's not real, so the rules kind of get loosey goosey sometimes.
Yeah,
but all these people being, so he gets the ultimate data set to be able to calculate futures that the Bene Gesserit haven't seen.
Okay.
And that's how he can guide himself to victory, because before that point, he kept trying to guide around the events of the future, and they could see it also, and they would, undo what he was doing, and then they blew up the location that they blow up in the movie, and actually his son is there when they blow it up, and it kills his son.
Which son?
Leto the Second.
Leto the Second, Paul's son.
Paul. Okay.
Gotcha. And so instead of him using that knowledge the way he intended, when he takes that waters of life, he uses it the other way, just to conquer everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was the decision to keep, Johnny and Paul young and sexy.
Yeah.
Because you've got the star power of Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. So moving and doing those time jumps and everything like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Killing children is not a popular
I mean, they still do it, but in the background. But by physically saying like Leto the Second is dead would be
no kid died.
Yeah.
And they made lots of other changes. Like Chani is well aware before going into the ending of the plan to marry the princess, to take over, that it's a political marriage only. She's on board with it, that she's going to be the wife behind the scenes, the concubine, just like Paul's real mother was.
This brings us to a very important question, fellas. One that I've been pondering since I've finished the end of this movie. Who are you choosing to rule your new god empire with you? Florence Pugh or Zendaya?
Flo all day. Not that Zendaya is not a good-looking woman, but Florence Pugh, come on. The woman
Florence Pugh in the movie also has the Bene Gesserit training, powers, and knowledge. I think that's a little bit more useful than the Fremen training that you've already got.
Yeah,
true.
That is only good on the one planet.
You already got out of her. You don't need any more.
I'd have to agree with Bull. I have great appreciation for Zendaya, but Florence Pugh is another issue I did have.
If you're Paul, you can have both.
I mean, you're the God Emperor.
Yeah.
What did I call it in the chat?
Paul doesn't want to be the God Emperor. Paul's kid is the ones that actually becomes the God.
Yeah, I got a little confused by that, I'll admit. Because it seemed like at one point he started to shift to want the power, but...
Yeah, and that goes to the getting rid of the weirdness as well. You know, like the having the 2-year-old who's forcibly grown her own body to that of a 6-year-old in his sister.
Yep.
Because she's that good of a Bene Gesserit.
Really?
Yeah. Well, Bene Gesserits in the book are explained they have trained where they have total control over each and every muscle in their body.
Okay.
That's part of their kung fu, which is the wielding way, which is what they're supposed to teach the Fremen to use to fight against. There should be pretty much no ranged weapons in Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you blast a shield with a laser, or you blast it with
because it's basically a nuclear.
They both explode nuclear.
Yeah. It's basically a nuclear generator that keeps you safe, and if you hit it, it causes a nuclear explosion.
Yeah. Oh.
Which is why everybody fights with shields, and everybody uses swords and knives. There is no guns, no missile launchers, no, But there are like the magnet things to that kind of thing.
Was that
for the unshielded crawler that happens in the movie? That kind of thing does happen in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I personally have only read the original trilogy, Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune.
Okay.
And Dune Messiah and Children of Dune, I did a reread of original Dune here before our last episode. I have not reread Dune Messiah or Children of Dune since like I was in college, like 20 plus years ago, 25, 27 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really long time since I read those two books. So my memory may not be the best. And I've not read any of the other 13 or whatever books that happen after that. God Emperor is after that.
Well,
so,
I've got a question for you, Loke, because I know you, like I have, you have seen the original 1984. Yes. Who makes a better Na Baron? Sting or Austin Butler?
Oh, I liked Austin Butler's. But now the fight with Sting was more accurate to the book. With the side blade and the poison and
Sting played the Na Baron.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, but see,
look him up.
Some of the other weirdness that they left out was the fact that the Baron in this is, a child molester.
Yes, specifically with boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's implied in the movie that he's gay, but it's not outright said it.
Right. No. Yeah, and in the book, the Baron, is all about his nephew in the wrongest way.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yep. And
they did that in the 1984 movie a little bit, but at least he wasn't
do you remember
a grown adult?
in part 1 where they showed that weird spider thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes the place of his actual pets, which were little boys.
I did have a question because one thing I was confused about was I thought the Fremen were supposed to be like guerrilla warfare fighters. How did they siege a city occupied by an army?
Surprise tactics. Yeah.
Paul and his nuclear atomics. His family atomics.
Yeah, but he only used the atomics as a threat later on.
No, he blew up the wall.
Yeah.
So
did he?
So the sandworms can come in at the final.
Oh, that's okay. I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah, because he used the atomics to blow up the wall, which is how the sandworms could attack the city and do a full assault on Arrakeen.
Yeah, who are you gonna count on? Who are you gonna win? Shit. Who are you going to select to win in a fight? People who have grown up and lived and fought in these sandstorms, or people who are generally have cushy jobs, protecting an emperor who never gets attacked?
but that's also in the books. The Sodakar are basically raised on what the Hell Planet.
True,
That
but they
Darth
don't go
Vader.
into this in this.
Yeah, but
But
they don't the planet doesn't look that bad on the one,
Mm.
but in the books that the whole theory is how you make a tough soldier by training them in a tough environment.
Have
And
you
so that's why the Fremen are one of the toughest, because Dune is so hard to live in. But that's something else. They basically made, in the dumbification of, or simplification, or you know generalization version, they basically, spice being oil and the Fremen kind of being the native population of that area, has always been a mild metaphor in the book. It was not the blatant, these are Arabs, dressed like Arabs, behaving and praying like Arabs.
Mhm.
Like when Paul kills Jameis, Paul takes possession of Jameis's wife and kids
that was the
as part of their
first
tradition.
Fremen he killed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
The Fremen he kills at the end of part one,
He's
he
just
takes
got
possession of their wife and kids.
women left and right.
Yeah, and she's offended that he won't take her as a wife and pawns her off on somebody else because she's still young. She's still young and hot. She could be his wife. And their culture is completely
Yeah,
not
imagine
that in the movie.
imagine if they had added that in, like you have Lupita Nyong'o as Jameis's wife,
We're
Yeah,
getting some interference from Bold.
yeah. Both.
and you have to choose between Lupita, Zendaya. I'm going out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it! All right. Um,
You're good for the moment. You're good for the moment.
Yeah.
uh,
But-
hold on. Okay. Okay. Am I still messed up?
You're-
Yeah, there's some funky stuff going on. I don't know if it's you or me. But yeah, apologize for the dead air here, folks. We're going through some technical difficulties. I don't hear Bolg at all.
Yeah. We've lost your sound and your video are not syncing.
They're coming.
And there he went.
There he
We'll
goes.
see
There
if
he
we
goes.
can get back. But yeah, so I think he was gonna give a triple choice instead of just a double
So,
choice. But
do you?
all right, he's back.
He's back. He's back. So they're scheduled for Dune, the actual Dune 2, right? Messiah is the next one.
Denis Villeneuve, the director, is planning to make the next one.
But he's not planning to make a third one.
But he's not planning to make Children of Dune. Whether the studio then continues and makes Children of Dune afterwards probably depends how much money.
How much money do you think they're gonna back up on his doorstep for him to make?
Well, this is the same director who said in recent press releases he doesn't like dialogue in his movies. He's also said that there will never be a director's cut because once he cuts something, it's cut for good.
That's I'm working on a short. I was editing my short film just before this, and like there's a respectable take as a director. I feel once something made, it's set in stone.
Yeah, but I know we've seen like there are important scenes from the book that they did try to film for the first part, but they cut for either time or quality. We don't know why they actually cut it. Like there's a dinner party basically scene where, because in the book there's a thing where they think, or a couple people think Jessica is the traitor because Dr. Yui's training makes it impossible for him to be a traitor. And so there's a dinner party scene where that kind of gets played out, and then when they come back in this part 2 and he finds Gurney, Gurney wants to kill Jessica, and there's a whole subplot because he thinks she betrayed the Duke because he doesn't know anything about it being Dr. Yui. And they cut that whole subplot when they cut that dinner. Like I said, either we don't know if it was for time or if it just wasn't working, or the reason for cutting it we don't know. but there were set photos that showed they did film
Oh,
that
okay.
part, and so the hardcore fans would really like to see that more book accurate cut, but it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Denny Villeneuve won't allow it.
So what does sci-fi look like moving forwards? Like what's on the the realm right now? Because there's a couple of Star Wars things in development, I think, but we don't have
Rebel Moon too.
Yeah, the Rebel Moon director cut, I think, is supposed to be coming out, right?
Oh yeah, but the sequel is because they already paid for that to be made.
Yeah, they got the sequel and the director's cut.
Yeah, the sequel and the director's cut. So that's coming.
There's supposedly another Alien movie out there in development.
And the revolving door of Star Wars movies. I think currently the official next Star Wars is a Mandoverse movie.
Yes,
but that may
yes,
have
yes,
changed again. I may have missed because the official next one's been a lot of different Star Wars movies, but that I believe is currently back to, because for a little while it was the Rey sequel trilogy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The sequel to the sequel trilogy. 3 sequels, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Because the Force Awakens and them are the sequel trilogy. It would be a sequel to that trilogy, which would then be another sequel to a sequel trilogy.
Except the prequels were sequels.
Yeah.
So it's sequel cubed.
Right. But supposedly that Bob Iger has kicked that one out the door or whatever.
Okay.
That one's not happening now. Supposedly. We'll never know. We haven't had a new Star Wars movie in 6 years now? I'd have to look. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It's been quite a while since Rise of the Skywalker came out. Force of the Skywalker, whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even know. They kind of butchered that. That's sad. Rise of Skywalker, 2019.
2019. So 5 years.
5 years.
I can't do math.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years with no Star Wars at all on the big screen. Now they've done Mandalorian on TV and Disney Plus and those kind of things. But that's a whole nother debate for a whole nother show. But yeah, so other sci-fi movies this year, the Kong versus Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. That's not even really sci-fi. That's a kaiju movie, which is a subsect of horror. So,
but they're giving him bionic arm braces.
Yeah,
they're giving him the Thanos gauntlets.
Yeah.
So that one looks pretty sci-fi to me, flying into the ship to the center of the earth and all that. But off the top of my head, those are all I can think of.
Yeah, nothing.
But the thing with sci-fi has always been expensive to make good sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good sign when good, well-made sci-fi makes the money back. It makes them want to make more good sci-fi.
Yes.
When they spend a lot of money and get Madam Web type results, nobody wants to make those kind of movies anymore.
Well, you know what is technically sci-fi? Because it is science fiction.
What's that?
Oh, yes. Fallout.
Yeah.
Oh, Fallout.
Segue, Mr. Producer.
Segue.
Yes, we have the Fallout trailer. This is the second trailer they just released.
I guess the first one's the teaser, and this is the full trailer, or
is
that how it works out?
Yeah. Now, we've talked about the original trailer on this on a previous format because it was still called The Galley. It wasn't called Damage Rolls back then, but the three of us have discussed it. The original teaser trailer I really liked. Bog, I believe you were a little iffy. You were a little worried.
I had a couple of worries, and the new trailer has assuaged those worries for me.
Yeah, and it's risen worries in me.
You're more worried now.
Yeah, I really liked the vibe and the theme and the way the first trailer cut everything together.
Okay.
Um, where it had the seriousness and the darkness and the dark humor, um, but it also didn't take itself too seriously. Just like the game, kind of, where the, the everything looked really good too in that first trailer.
Hmm.
Um, this trailer seems to take itself way more seriously.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the way I feel. I mean,
The
there is the little joke about her, she thought all the vault dwellers were dead or something, but that a lot of the humor and you know it just looked less fun to me.
See, and
really.
that was one of my complaints about the first one is that, yeah, it had the humor, but it almost seemed to go a little too far with it. I like that they stripped it back a little bit here. It felt more like um, the difference between Fallout 3 in the first teaser and more like Fallout 1 in this trailer. It felt a little bit closer to the original feeling of Fallout, that dark, depressing, grim, heavy heart type stuff, with humor added in there, very black, very dark humor.
Yeah,
So, but then also having the ink spots in there, like it just, I felt like this better showed what we could be in store for in terms of uh, story and how they're going to treat the main through line. Of course, it's going to have humor. It's
yeah,
Fallout, but
yeah,
I'm glad it's not looking like it's just going to be the Fallout Vault Boy comedy hour. I, I I want the humor in there. I want the weird in there, but I also want that dark story, that dark personal story that makes Fallout so unique in apocalyptic
This
yeah.
I was
shows.
Well, that's the thing.
Media.
It's got it. The humor has to be dark. Even the humor has to be dark.
Mhm.
You can't be doing slapstick humor in Fallout. It's got to be a dark
I,
humor.
dark slapstick is still, it's still funny. I tell me right now, not one of you two put that grenade in that ghoul's pocket outside of Tenpenny Tower, just like they did in the trailer.
I'll have to go back and rewatch. I played some of the Fallout games, but I have not played it to the same extent that I know the two of
Yeah,
you have. Um,
I played the original. I played 3. I've got New Vegas downloaded on my Xbox. I haven't started it yet,
okay.
and I've 100%ed 4
Twice,
during the
right?
Yeah, twice.
That's,
No, 'cause I only 100%ed it once for the trophies.
okay.
You had to play it like 6 times to do the 100%, because
And you,
Yeah.
you have to get each of the different faction endings. You have to then do each of the expansion pack
did you
endings
do that?
for
Or,
each of the yes.
wow.
During the pandemic, I 100%ed all the trophies for Fallout 4.
That's crazy.
That's
I
what
mean,
lockdown will do to
I,
you.
I did it for Fallout 3
Yeah.
back in the day. Fallout 4 I've completed, and I haven't 100%ed it yet. I think there's one ending I haven't gotten. Um, I played 1 and 2 multiple times. I've
Yeah.
played even Brotherhood Tactics and some of the other games. I'm even level like 53 and 76.
Oh yeah, I
76
forgot.
has gotten better.
I forgot about 76. I did play 76.
Hmm.
Um, it was all right. I was still playing it when there were no NPCs yet, so I have not gone back to it
Okay.
since.
It is a lot better. It is
Yeah.
a lot better now. It's a fun one to just throw on and shoot some people
Yeah.
or some Mothmen, as you do.
I was just looking through the trailers, and I didn't watch the first one initially, but I saw the clip of it on Instagram or something, and like I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. So the second one did catch my eye a little more. Um,
And
I'll
when
need
I say
to.
when I say that the second one is not as good as the first one, they're both good trailers,
Okay.
and it still does look like a good show.
Okay.
Um, I don't want to be misconstrued. Oh, it looks like it's going to be garbage. No.
So
Uh,
I'm actually curious because for a long time, video game media was not profitable. Really, it was more niche, like the Mortal Kombat movies.
I don't know, the original Mortal Kombat movie that went to the theaters. I think I liked it, and I think it did pretty well.
Fans generally received it very well. There were problems with it, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
I
but
mean,
it was
it was
Mortal Kombat.
lower, but it was also a lower budget. It didn't have to make $1 billion to make money. And that's been a lot of the problem with a lot of the old video game movies, is a lot of them were low budget productions for high budget concepts.
The reason that video game movies have a shitty reputation is twofold. The Super Mario Brothers movie and Uwe Boll. Now, the man is
the second one?
Uwe Boll. He was a German, I think, or Swiss director who buys licenses for cheap, goes to Romania, somewhere cheap to make them, and just puts out trash because he can make a shitload of money off of it through tax breaks and the same logic as the producers. You can make more money with a flop than a hit.
Yeah,
and he's done
Warner Brothers is doing that shit right now with the Coyote versus Acme, and I'm a little pissed about that, but that's for another time.
But the movies he put out were garbage, and he would bank on stars that were at low points in their careers. I mean, you're looking at some of his movies. Blood Rain had fucking Sir Ben Kingsley as the bad guy. House of the Dead had Christian Slater.
I'm not really following. I apologize.
These were video game movies that he made.
That were made.
House of the Dead, Blood Rain.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've probably never seen those movies because they're not good enough that anybody's going to show them to you, and you were born after they were made.
But the first 3 or 4 people were hyped for, and they just turned out to be crap.
Yeah.
The problem is that adaptations have gotten such a high standard because of book movies and comic book movies that we're looking for a higher standard.
Well, because Hollywood does 2 types of adaptations. They do the adaptation that is targeted to it's done by fans for fans as a work of love. And then there's we're going to get these suckers to come see this movie because we put this title on. Okay. The adaptations in name only. And actually, even some of the adaptations in name only, some of them are some of the best adaptations out there. As far as
there's been a huge influx in these last couple of years of video game movies that are coming out, and they've been a very large spectrum for how they've been. We've got just to put it in terms, on one hand we have Sonic the Hedgehog, and on the other hand we have Halo.
Yeah.
And it's just there's some video game movies that they're just putting them out, and I'm curious as to, are they making enough money through the other purposes to keep funding them, or should we expect more video game franchises to be adapted in the future?
Here's the thing. The people who grew up with video games are now the ones making movies, are now the ones writing scripts. So if they think that they can get away with making a good movie, they're going to try and do it. I hold nothing against the people who made Assassin's Creed and Tomb Raider, and those that have been on the lower end of okay-ish. It's the studios who have no faith in these movies that have really ruined some of them.
Would
But then you
And
have
sometimes the movies aren't even meant to be an adaptation.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
somebody reads the script and goes, this is an awful lot like this. We buy the rights to this. We'll go ahead and make even more money on this movie by calling it a screen adaptation of that, even though that was never what it was. Like the original script for the Starship Troopers movie was Bug Hunt on Planet P, was not a Starship Troopers adaptation at all.
Gotcha.
And somebody read the script and went, this sounds an awful lot like Heinlein's Starship Troopers. Maybe we should buy the rights to that. And they edited it up a little bit to make it a little bit more like the book. But like in the book, they're fighting in power armor, and it's much more it's not the satire against the military that Paul Verhoeven put together.
I guess I have a point of concern, and we've had some really good adaptations in these last couple of years. I've got it pulled up here. Like I said, Sonic the Hedgehog. We had Arcane, Last of Us, Mario, parts of The Witcher.
The first season was good. I liked the first season.
That's
even the second season had
the
good
second
parts
season
about
was
it.
At least watchable. I
know,
didn't finish the third season, so I don't know if it got better.
We've been blessed with some really good video game adaptations, and I could foresee a possibility where that could go poorly. They'll just start pumping out beloved IPs with shit content because they think.
Well, you are gonna see. Watch out for like the who's out of business video game producer like Sega. Is Sega still around?
I don't know,
Look for some you might see some Sega characters going to some low budget productions and that are going to break your heart because if Hollywood can get the rights for cheap, you're going to get those directors who are going to on a $20 million budget. You don't got to make that. You won't. What's Madam Web? What's Madam Web's?
Sony.
No, but what's their what's the market at right now, money wise?
Oh.
How much have they made? It's a big flop, but it's still like.
I'm trying to look it up here. I don't have it. If you do, Web box office. Flop. Grossed about 77 million after 2 weekends.
So 77 million.
Yeah.
It's a flop because it cost a lot more than that. You put a $20 million movie out there, and you make Madam Web money. You just made $50 million.
True.
Hollywood will do that all day long.
Mm-hmm.
All day long.
And $20 million is nothing to sniff at. $20 million, if you do a grounded, like, if you gave me $20 million, I could pump out a script for Kingdom Come Deliverance.
If I'm not
that would
mistaken,
cost, it wouldn't even cost that $20 million.
If I'm not mistaken, the movie Megan came out last year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe their budget was somewhere around the $20 million mark.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you could get a decent quality movie on a $20 million budget. So if you can get the rights to some Crash Bandicoot,
Yeah.
video game
Five
franchise.
Nights at Freddy's was another.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, that.
That
So
may
I don't know. It's
explode
just
about
there's been an influx. I'm just now realizing that we've had
Yeah,
quite a few.
Hollywood knows people are stupid.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
They know you're not going to do the research to see if they spent the money and time and effort. They know they're going to dangle the shiny carrot in front of you, and you're going to just jump at it.
Do you think people would do that? Like with social media, I'll have X pulled up and I'll see some face reactions to saw some face reactions to Dune. And you'll see that for like different movies and movies that I'm considering going to see.
Yeah.
But
Whereas
maybe not everyone does.
Yeah, there's a small percentage that does that. Others go, oh, I heard of that. I got nothing going on right now. Maybe I'll go see that movie.
well, it's like the way I do it is I intentionally avoid reactions and reviews and shit like that because they can create bias. What I do is I watch the trailer, and if I like the trailer, I go and see the movie.
Mhm.
It's how it's been done for years.
And that
But
trailer ain't gonna tell you if it's book accurate, video game accurate.
some
Yeah,
will.
I
I
can
mean,
see
we
that.
all know
Super Mario Brothers trailer showed Mario and Luigi in what a red shirt and overalls, just like the video
Yeah, but
game.
we've talked about Borderlands on this show and how
Yeah.
it's not the same as
Yeah.
what the game is, but the feeling of the game is there. So I'm interested. I'll go and see it. I'm expecting it to flop. I'm expecting it to not be as good as I hope it would be, but I'm going to go and see it because I enjoyed the trailer. But that's becoming true for all adaptations. Like,
Yeah.
how long have we bemoaned, Marvel on this channel, and how long have we wished things were going better with the DCEU? How many books have been turned into movies recently where it's just been like, well, the book was better by a lot?
How many movies have you gone into that's called something and the characters have the names of something and it's nothing to do with what it was called?
I don't know actually. Do you have any examples offhand?
I'm stuck on the Super Mario Brothers one right now, but
Okay.
there's a lot of them out there though.
Okay. I'm not recalling any off the top of my head. I didn't know if you had.
Yeah. Recent. I can think of some recent bad out like the Wheel of Time adaptation is not. Yeah.
Rings of Power.
But see that the Wheel of Time is not completely inaccurate. It's
It doesn't have to be inaccurate for it to be a bad.
It's out of order, and it adds a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with the book stories.
Gotcha.
Where they want to tell their own story, but season 2 was better than season 1 and more accurate. Where they're trying
saying Wheel of Time. I'll shout them out.
There's a lot of, but there's good ones out there too. Like we were ragging Amazon earlier because of Rings of Power and Wheel of Time were not the best,
Mm-hmm.
but their Reacher adaptation is much better than the Hollywood Tom Cruise Reacher adaptations.
Okay.
They're Jack Ryan's. I haven't watched those, but supposedly those are really good.
So are there any movies that are currently 3 remakes deep?
Oh, I'm sure. Three remakes. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. All right. Yep, I'll give you Spider-Man. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I just, if I would have known I was doing homework, I could probably bring up several more.
Right. Yeah, I'm
'cause
thinking.
There's a lot of the old Hollywood ones that they.
I guess Batman,
Robin
Spider-Man,
Hood.
and Batman,
Yeah,
and
Dracula
Superman.
has been done so many times.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the ones that are in public domain,
Mm-hmm.
like Dracula, Robin Hood, King Arthur, because Hollywood doesn't have to pay for the rights to remake those.
Yeah.
They get remade a lot, and that's something you're going to see more and more as Hollywood ages, because we're now getting to the point where early Hollywood, like
It's
The Wizard of Oz and those kind of things are starting to hit that.
We're gonna have a Steamboat Willie horror movie soon.
Yeah, just
So-
Pooh, Blood, and Honey.
Blue Blood. Yeah, it's on its second movie now.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious Like who's gonna be the next? You know, that Superman, Joker. You know, those big characters that are reincarnated a lot. You know,
Yeah. Well, Superman is actually going to be on its fourth next
Yep.
year.
Superman enters its fourth. Okay.
Yeah, because you had
Yeah.
George Reeves,
But
Christopher Reeves.
I was counting starting at Christopher Reeve because George Reeves wasn't a movie. That was
It was TV, but
I mean, if you
I
count
mean,
TV,
TV, yeah.
we're up to like 8 or 10 Superman for.
Is Batman the most movie reincarnated? Not reincarnated, but multiple iteration character.
Do you count the Batman from the 1980s all as a single rendition, even though 3 different actors played?
If we say yes,
it's a single series though, right?
Yeah, it's a single continuity.
It depends who you ask.
Okay.
Because they changed directors, writers, and actors.
Ooh.
But it's still considered a single continuity.
It takes place chronologically right after. Okay. But if they were to make another one with the originals, they would ignore all that. It's just like
West
Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Superman Returns ignored Superman 3 and 4.
Okay.
Because it was supposed to be a direct sequel to Superman 2.
Okay. So
part of why it flopped so bad is because it confused people who didn't know, and they didn't advertise it very well, and it was very slow and different style from what people were expecting after the cartoony 3 and 4.
Yeah, I
was just thinking about something that
considering like animated versions of the. I'll have to do some research into that because I'm curious now. Who has had the most portrayals?
I mean, because Batman, we had West, we had the '80s Batman, we had Bale, Batfleck, and.
Are you counting just live action stuff, or I was
live action movies?
Yeah, I was saying.
Movies.
Oh my god! If you count animated, there's. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Josh Hutcherson played a version of Batman. Keanu Reeves. Oh my god.
Dietrich Bader. Kevin Conroy.
Even Jimmy Kimmel. They let Jimmy Kimmel play Batman. Okay.
Yeah. So
Will Arnett.
If you leave the door open, there's a lot of people a lot of recasts and remakes, and you know the Clooney,
Kilmer and
Keaton.
Yeah, the almost KKK.
Yeah.
KKC.
Even if you count them all as one, you're still at what, 5?
Yeah, you're at 5, and we've had almost as many live action movie Superman. You got Reeve, you've got Brandon Routh, Henry Cavill, and who's the new guy?
Superman Legacy guy.
Yeah.
And that's not counting the Smallville
David
guy, Lois and Clark guy, the black and white
George. Yeah.
Reeves. Yeah. And there were two there was George Reeves, and there was another one in the black and white days that played Superman. But so
Superman's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And very few of them get him right. That's part of the problem is which Superman are you getting right? Are you getting right the 1910 strongman Superman that could leap over tall buildings but couldn't yet fly?
Mm-hmm.
You getting him right, or are you getting the 1970-60 Superman who pink kryptonite turned him gay and
flamboyant?
Which Superman are you getting right?
Yeah. Are you doing the 50s, 60s Superman that had literally any power that he wanted at any given time?
Yeah. So that phrase, you're not getting him right. You're not doing. That's it's one of those things where it's been around long enough that he's probably done everything that can be
Well,
done.
And a lot of it comes down to fan interpretation, because you're right, Loke. People will look at Superman, they look at what he did to Zod in Man of Steel and go, "That's not Superman. Superman doesn't kill." Superman has killed a lot. Just like Batman, they have killed a lot.
Well, so the topic I wanted to bring up was: did you guys see Zack Snyder's comments that he made the other day? I believe it was on the Joe Rogan podcast, talking about Batman. Should Batman kill?
I mean, we know his answer because he had him do it in Batman v Superman. But I've always found when he is driven to kill, he has a very good reason, except in the very beginning of his career where he carried a gun. And I'm not talking about Thomas Wayne Batman either, because he's definitely more of an Jason Todd level anti-hero and shoots first, asks questions later. But Bruce Wayne Batman, when he is driven to kill, he's got a very good reason for it, and it's always horrific.
Someone in chat says Superman should avoid riding horses. You guys. Oh wait. Is that how Christopher Reeve?
Oh yeah, that's how. Yeah, Christopher Reeve fell off a horse and broke his neck. That's how he became a paraplegic. Nice.
That's in poor taste. But you know how you can
right in the Fallout humor that we were talking about.
Yeah. It's like once Christopher Reeve lost his ability to play the character, he should have been taken over by Christopher Walken.
Oh.
So dumb.
Sorry, I just had to get a leg up.
And just digging that hole deeper.
Cancel me, internet. Come for me. I'm riding the high of being shouted out on Dead Meat.
Yeah,
You can't bring me down.
We'll see you on Dextero. Wouldn't that be something? We're in our last couple minutes here. I think we're ending on time this week. We've been running over the last couple because we've had some good stuff to talk about. Is there any last things you guys want to say before we wrap it up? Anything you're looking forward to?
Look at me. There is something very important that I need to get across to you. Dragon's Dogma 2 will allow you to shape your butt. That's it.
Isn't that a little late? I mean, it's already had games where you could shape your
Baldur's
dog.
Gate. Yeah, Baldur's Gate has genital customization.
It's a slider that lets you get cake. You're not taking that away from me. I want my wizard to have cake and eat it too.
Well, I hope the best for you and your Dragon Dogmas character. What about you, Loki? Is there anything new and exciting coming out? I think we've kind of hit our until May, June.
I think we've hit our nonsense limit for.
Yeah.
I will try to read Dune Messiah again before the Dune Messiah movie comes out.
Okay.
So that I am more refreshed.
You've probably got another couple years, don't you?
Yeah, I got lots of time. Paul does turn bad.
Does he?
Surprise.
He's bad already.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. What did I call it in chat? Was it Sandworms and Spice?
Well, no, the
Part
reason
2, Messiah Boogaloo.
Yeah, the reason Frank Herbert wrote the second book was because he was offended that so many people saw Paul as a hero in the first book.
Really?
He said, "You don't get it." And he wrote, it's his shortest book in the series.
Messiah is,
yeah.
Maybe I don't get it.
Yeah.
Did they? Like, am I missing?
He is supposed to be a warning, not to trust charismatic leaders and messiah figures.
He
Okay, well,
Yeah.
is there more to the story that they haven't shown in the movies yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They can start. So
It's basically an allegory for any revolutionary who then became a tyrant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll
Yeah, 'cause
see.
it goes into it like I probably gonna the Dune Peak fans are because it's like I said it's been like 20 years, but there is a golden path through the future where humanity is in everything is great, and he refuses to step onto that golden path because it would be too bad for him,
Mm,
and that's where his son becomes the God Emperor because he's the one that takes humanity onto the golden path and
Being
rules
doxxed
them
in
with an
chat.
iron fist for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
You see this? I'm being doxxed in chat. Thanks.
you are being doxxed.
I won't say your other name, Jeff, so that you get you don't get doxxed.
So I was referring to him as said other chatter. But with that, we have now surpassed our 1 hour limit. It's been a very interesting week. Lots to come. You know, we never really know what the week is going to hold. Logan mentioned it briefly, but Avatar: The Last Airbender was renewed for 2 more seasons at Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Well, I also have noticed. I watch a lot of reaction channels of stuff I've already watched. I won't watch the reaction channels if I haven't seen it because I don't want it to be spoiled. And I've noticed that the channels that I'm subscribed to that I normally would watch as soon as they put up a reaction just to see how they felt about something. I'm not rewatching the Avatar: The Last Airbender reactions, which is making me believe I might not have liked it as much.
Okay, because you pointed out a handful of times my low score, so
yes.
I'm curious. I'm curious to dive a little deeper into that next time because it's like a handful of times it's been brought up. So
Yeah,
I have to. I'm gonna do my rewatch here shortly. Maybe hopefully something to give you guys to look forward to next time. But for now, I'm Mr. Producer. This has been Damage Rolls. Say goodbye, Bolg.
Goodbye, Bolg, and goodbye, Akira Toriyama.
Say goodbye, Lo.